Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this latest edition of RE048, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. As always, I hope that you enjoy. The 17th Fleet, written by squeakypeeky. There are a variety of reasons that people choose to live their lives in the eastern fringes of space. Plentiful food, disconnection from the mind meld, and freedom from the authoritarian regimes that spring up in more civilized parts of the galaxy are definitely on my list. My name is Harper, and depending on who you talk to, I'm either a pirate, a thief, or a pretty good guy. The last one was my mum. I like to think of myself as a treasure hunter for hire, the sort of man who picks out the tastiest, most expensive morsels from wherever I find them and give them a new home. I've been out here hunting for treasure since before the Confederacy took hold, and I've never seen anything as crazy as I saw today. I was spaced out, hanging on the edge of the jump path junctions looking for a dropper when I saw 3 old boats zip past. To say that they were out of date would be an understatement. They were so ancient, the boosters were fecking glowing like an old vitz about space travel in the early 22nd century. Modern grav sliders don't even produce notable movement from the outside, let alone enough heat to produce notable light. They were huge too, over 200 meters apiece, hopelessly oversized compared to modern ships. When I brought up scans on them, I couldn't stop myself letting out a whistle. They had no shields, no wormhole gen, no goddamn anything. But goddamn, they had their hammer down. Most modern-day ships don't really worry about real space speed so much. You don't need it with a wormhole accuracy damn near 50 meters. These motherfuckers hadn't heard about that, though. They were driving ships at least 3,000 years old as close to the speed of light as explosions could get them, and they were being chased. The problem with space pirates isn't so much that they exist. They're an inevitability, really. When you have a universe this large and a population as naturally anarchic as humans. It's that they're assholes about it. See, most people wouldn't mind having their ships raided and goods stolen. That's fine, you can get insurance for dirt cheap, and you would get a pretty great story out of it. The issue is how they do it. With near instantaneous wormhole travel and almost perfect accuracy, most raiders don't even bother stopping people anymore. They simply take an old one-seater ship, get one of their newbies in the driver's seat, and make him drop out of wormhole right in front of whichever poor unfortunate bastard exits at a junction. Both ships crash, the pirate gets picked up in a survivor's suit, and they raid all the good bits from the other ship. Anyone who survives from the other boat usually gets left to float, or if they're particularly unlucky and come across to real nasty motherfuckers, they are the goods. I couldn't tell you how exactly the pirates had managed to cock up this particular traffic stop. It wasn't like the ships could outrun a wormhole jumper. They were fast, but definitely stuck in real space. I could see it clipping in and out, appearing close to the noses, never really actually in front of them. It was actually hilarious to watch. This drugged-up imbecile must be wondering what the hell was going wrong with the system. If he can't even manage to land in front of these things with all the time in the world to plot a jump path. Then I realized why he couldn't make them hit. The ships weren't flying in a predicted path, or even computer-generated random pattern. The wormhole gen was trying to make them collide by reaching the best possible outcomes of the other ship's computer. But these things are old. Like first-generation, Central Galaxy pre-Civil War old, which meant there was every chance that whoever was flying these things was doing it manually, which meant they were quite possibly insane. Flying a spaceship manually was a bloody stupid thing to do. See, things in space happen really, really quickly. When it hits another rock on a planet with one gravity, there is a hard limit of how far that rock can go before stopping. There's too many forces at play, and the potential energy it has very quickly drains away to zero. But in space, that initial speed doesn't really ever have a whole lot to stop it. So it'll keep moving at the initial insane speed forever. Plus, they're all super hard to see. So when you're driving a spaceship manually in a place with any kind of debris, you're basically dodging invisible bullets, going impossible speeds with nothing but luck on your side. Computers are great for that. They predict potential issues from the scans and just automatically adjust. Half the time, unless it's a goddamn planet, you never know it's happening. Planets, man, they'll sneak up on you. Anyway, I hadn't moved. I was totally enraptured, watching this game of pirate and dumbass play out. I knew that there had to be more pirates out there somewhere to swoop in once the kid had cleaned up the kamikaze crapshoot. And I didn't want to fire up my engines and get jumped as well. But I couldn't help but root for these three antiques. Who doesn't love an underdog? The less likely they were to survive, the harder I had to cheer. It would only take a small slip from them to lose it all, though. Intervening was starting to seem like an actual, legitimate option. The computers were starting to predict the erratic movements of one of the drivers. Each jump was a closer and closer miss. I didn't really know how I could help, though. Ship weapons are insanely expensive, and in all my years of treasure hunting, I'd never gotten anything other than a poorly converted mining laser, which was only really good for breaking open old hulks to see if there was anything salvageable inside. Of course, in order to actually hit anything with it, I would have to engage a suicidal pirate doing near-constant jumps and then get out again before his buddies grabbed me. I was gearing up to pick a fight I'd lose when I saw the tables turn. The old junker who was getting cut off suddenly stopped dodging and started decelerating hard. I don't want to think about what the G-forces were like. I can only imagine the stress in the human body. The huge goddamn engines I talked about had cut out, and the second pair had opened up in the front of the ship. The power coming out of them was ridiculous. My readings weren't off the scale, but they were certainly on a part of it I'd never seen before, except following tech nukes and fission generator failures. I couldn't fathom what the hell was even producing that much energy. The pirate, however, saw his chance to make his daddy proud and jumped into the path of the now decelerating boat. I almost felt like I should have warned him, but then I really do hate pirates. One of the advantages I have is an actual education. I knew what was going to happen next, even if he didn't. The pirate didn't have shields. They wouldn't put them on ships they're just going to blow up anyway, because what's the point? So the moment this 200-meter-long yacht appeared in the path of a 200-meter-long monstrosity's engines, it felt the blowback from those engines. That much power pushing something in one direction is probably going to do the same to the other, after all. It was really satisfying to behold, if I'm honest. The ship appeared out of thin air and was nearly instantly blasted away in a wild spin. I did a quick scan as it span out at impossible speed. Whatever the fuck was coming out of that engine was highly radioactive, and that tiny little hunk of steel was ticking like a Geiger counter made of uranium. I still read a life sign aboard, but hey, without shields, that much radiation meant his destiny had changed from moron to juice. I shuddered to think of it. I almost felt bad for him. The other two relics had started to slow down too, and I realized with a jolt they were coming to a stop. I didn't really want to get involved, but I felt like it was the price I had to pay for admission to see the most brutal pirate death of all time. I tried to ping them with my comms. Surely they knew that there were more pirates around here somewhere. They might be a bit confused right now, but they'd want vengeance, maybe. Or they could be huge cowards who didn't want to die a similar death. With pirates, you never know. Regardless, these guys had some kind of comm system, but getting through was unpleasant. I couldn't get a proper voice channel open, let alone video. In the end, I managed to open a text channel through my mind meld connectors, though God only knows why that worked. Given how miserably forgotten their systems were, I was surprised again when they replied in a language even the translator shook a fist at. I got about every third word, though, so they were easier to communicate with than half the cutoffs on their weird little farms around here. We struggled a bit, but I sent them coordinates to a nice quiet planet and told them to set it down there. Anyways, that's how I met the 17th Fleet, Admiral. What else do you want to know? End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Bushmaster 177, Henry the Red, Caspar Arnholtz, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Elijah Silvercross, Dragzoon WRE, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.